Hello, in today's video we will be talking about relational and logical operators in C#. When we say relational operators, we mean the equal operator, the not equal, less than, greater than, etc. And logical operators are the and the or, and we will talk about those in detail, and we'll give a few examples through the application that we're trying to build today. Continuing with our game application or game rental application, today we will be playing with the shipping cost. So we will be modifying shipping costs dependent on several options. So what we will be determining is the shipping cost. So after the user enters their number of days that they would like to rent the game for, they will see the total amount due, but they will also see the shipping cost. So the shipping cost will vary tremendously depending on the amount that the user would have to pay, maybe the number of days, etc. So let's go ahead and try to do that. So we will be still calculating the total amount as usual. We removed the coupon, so we'll go ahead and remove that from the code, and then we will select our shipping costs based on the total amount that is to be paid by the user or the customer. So here, what we would like to do is to have several options, and these would represent some business rules that the business have set up for themselves. For example, we can set up this shipping cost to be equal to 0.5, which is 50 cents, however, only if the total amount to be paid is greater than $10, for example. So we'll still use our shipping cost label to display the shipping cost amount. So now this is our business rule. If the total amount to be paid by the user is greater than $10, then we set our shipping cost to 0.5. And this is a relational operator that is available through C#. So let's see if that's going to work. So to begin with, our total amount is not going to include any shipping costs. And we need to set our application to run the game rental form. So if we click on the checkout option here, we have our total amount due set to $2.50, so our shipping cost did not really change and remained set to the 0.99 cents that was selected initially. Now, if we do increment that amount, let's say we want to rent the game for 30 days, then we'll have the total amount due set to $15, so then the shipping cost is now 50 cents instead of 99 cents. So that is working fine. The only thing we would like to add maybe is a $sign through string concatenation. Now let's add another rule. So now we know that if the total is greater than $10, we set the shipping cost to 50 cents. Now let's just implement a different rule. If, for example, the number of days that we would like to rent the game for is maybe greater than 5 days, we can set that cost to be 75 cents, for example. So we can have 2 blocks of code, each one for a separate business rule. So here, now let's increase the number of days. If we set it to 6, then our shipping costs 75 cents. If we increase the total amount to $17, we see that the shipping cost did not really change. Back to the code and see here what happened. We set our value for the number of days to be equal to 15. So what happened, or maybe 30. So what happened, we got to this if statement and the total amount was greater than 10 and the shipping cost was set to 0.5. However, when the code was starting to execute these sentences, and remember that C# executes lines of code sequentially. So this is the next line in sequence. It tested for the number of days and it was greater than 5, and the shipping cost was set to 0.75 cents. So when you're trying to make these logical rules, you need to keep in mind that the code is executed in sequence, so you need to make sure that you have the right code that is set initially. What we can do to fix this problem is add in an else. Else if would make sure that we have this line of code, these lines of code is set initially, and then if these do not apply, then we go ahead and apply this one. So let's try that. So we'll go back and change the number of days to be greater than 30, and now this is working. Another way that we can implement business rules is to add in some logic. So let's just add in a logical operator. So instead of having 2 different rules in here, if for example we can have a business rule that says if the total amount is greater than 10 or the number of days is set or greater than 5, then we can set the shipping cost to 50 cents. So let's try to implement that rule. And the way to implement the OR in C# is through this operator right here. And we need some parentheses. And if you're coding in real life, this is a great place for comments. So if you're implementing some business rule, it would be great to add in a comment right here saying if, for example, the total amount paid is greater than $10, or the number of days is greater than 5, then we go ahead and give a discount on shipping. We set the shipping cost to be equal to 50 cents. So that way, if there are several developers working on the same project, it's nice to see comments and understand what each person has done in the code. So now let's try that. So here we have our shipping cost equal to 99 cents. We go ahead and increase the number of days to 7, we get the 0.5. If we still keep increasing it and we increase the dollar amount to greater than $10, we'll also get the 50 cents. So this is a logical operator that we can use. Now, another rule that we could apply is that if the total amount is greater than $10 and the number of days is greater than 5, then we give the discount. So that would mean that if one of these two sentences does not apply, then our discount on shipping would not be applicable. So we need both sentences to hold true before we can apply this rule, or before we can apply the discount. Let's see how that works. Now, if we have this set to 5, then my amount is not going to change, or my shipping cost is not going to change. Now, if I still increase the number of days, but my total is not greater than $10, then my shipping costs didn't change. Now, if I do increase my total amount due enough to exceed $10, then I will be able to apply this discount, because this rule right here is applicable. This holds true. We have this first part of the statement is true, which is total is greater than $10, and then the second part of the statement is also true, which states that number of days is greater than 5. So basically, this is a very simple example for relational and logical operators in C#. Now, the last one that I want to do is the not operator. So, for example, if we have our number of days not set to a specific value. So let's say we are provided an offer for, or a discount on shipping for people who rent the game for 12 days. So then if that number of days is not equal to 12 days, then we set the shipping value to, let's say, 89 cents, and then else, if the number of days is now set to 12, then we can have the shipping costs equal to 30 cents maybe. So now we set our shipping cost right here to 89 cents, and that would be our default. And then if the number of days is equal to 12 days, and this is basically what we mean by the else. Because if this does not hold true, then the only option that we have left is that the number of days is not set to 12. Then we set the shipping cost to 30. So let's test that. Check out. So now our shipping cost is set to 89 cents. If we do select 12 days, our magic number, then our shipping cost is set to 30 cents. So very briefly, these are our logical operators in C#. You have the equal. So days equal to 12 or not equal. We talked about the and the or. We also talked about some relational operators that are the greater than or maybe the less than operators. All right. Hope this has been helpful, and see you next time.